My name is Bonaventure. I'm an accounts teacher, and as I told you yesterday, our next class will be on errors and correction of errors. That is the topic that you are going to deal with now. First, I want to tell you what an error is. An error is normally made in records of accounts, and it is a way of recording incorrect entries in books of accounts. These incorrect entries can either be intentionally or by mere mistake, but they are there to be corrected. And that's why we are here to learn about those errors and how they can be corrected. We have errors that affect the trial balance, and we also have errors that do not affect the balancing of accounts in a trial balance. Errors that do not affect the balancing of accounts in a trial balance are as follows. One is error of commission. Is an error of commission. An error of commission is recorded normally in the wrong ledger. Maybe instead of recording salaries, the general ledger, you come and write salaries in sales ledger. That is an error of commission. We also have an error of omission, where you completely omit an entry in the records from the original journal to the ledger, to the ledger account. And you know, ledgers are the main books of accounts. And before they are entered into ledgers, such entries, before they are entered into ledgers, they must first originate from the journals. So sometimes, if you omit to enter a correct entry in a journal, it is likely to be transferred also to the main ledger. You will also omit to write the same. Therefore, such an error will not be discovered when entering entries in a trial balance. We also have errors of complete revision or reversion. For example, instead of writing 68, you write 58. When you write 58 in a journal, you will go on to write the same in the main ledger, and it will be very difficult to discover such an error. We also have errors of original entry. Errors of original entry. That is incorrect amount in the first instance of recording an entry in a journal. And you know, journals are the original books of accounting. We also have an error of principle. And an error of principle normally occurs instead of maybe posting an account to the debit side, you post to the credit side. That is an error of principle. That means you are not following the correct principles of entering entries in ledger books or in journals. So that is an error of principle. Occurs when you enter incorrectly correct entries in wrong places. So those are the errors that do not affect the balancing of trial balance. We also have errors that affect the balancing of trial balance. That is, they are normally, whenever such errors are discovered, they are normally, whenever such errors happen, we normally record in a suspense account. Therefore, suspense is an account that is opened and either debited or credited with the amount that is affecting the balancing of the trial balance. For example, if the trial balance is affected by, say, 50,000 on debit side, so we open a suspense account to cover that. And thereafter, when we start scrutinizing our books, we will now be posting correctly and the amount either entered in a suspense account or not. So the errors that affected the balancing of the trial balance are normally entered in a suspense account. It can be on the debit side or on credit side. And I'll give you an example. For example, assume that there was an error of 40,000 that was in the books of account of the year ended 2023, which was then transferred to the suspense account on the credit side. In February the following year, the investigation was carried out and it was realized that the 40,000 was as a result of sales undercast. Required, record the journal entries to correct the error. Suspense account duly balanced. This is what we will do. This is what we will do. This is what we will do. We will first of all open a sales account. We will open a sales account. We will open a sales account. And then we will open a suspense account. We will open a suspense account. So we open a suspense account. We open a suspense account. In suspense account, sales were undercast. The sales were undercast by 40,000. So we'll say sales 40,000 in our suspense account. So that means 40,000. This is to record sales undercast. In suspense, we will say sales 40,000. And then there was a balance brought down. was 40,000. Balance brought down was 40,000. Balance brought down was 40,000, which was undercast. So in sales, in suspense account, we will debit 40,000 and credit the sales account with the same amount. So we debit sales account, we debit suspense account with 40,000, and then we credit sales, we say suspense, from suspense 40,000. Now our double entry is correct. You see, sales was undercast by 40,000. So what we do, we add 40,000 to our sales account. And normally the sales account, normally in a double entry, as I told you maybe sometimes back, we normally debit an asset and credit an income. And also we debit a loss and credit a liability. Therefore, here we have debited our suspense account, and on the credit side we have increased our sales account by 40. You see? Now that means we have corrected that error. So the error is now corrected and the suspense account is also closed. The suspense account is closed because it was 40,000 missing. Now we have closed it by debiting the suspense account with the 40,000 and crediting sales account with 40. So the suspense account is now gone. You see? So that is how we correct an error. So when we come to journal, we say what I've just done is that I've debited suspense account by 40,000 and credited sales account by 40,000. And I've closed the suspense account. That's how you go about correcting errors. Another example maybe, and we also have errors which do not affect the profit. For example, assume that there is an error of 80,000 debit balance that was recorded in the debit account. Upon investigation, it was realized that the rent account was recorded incorrectly with an undercast of 80. Assume the net profit was 170,000. Required compose channels to correct this error. Suspense account duly balanced. Statement of adjusting profits. This is what will happen. There was an error, a debit balance of 80,000. A debit balance of 80,000. So we open a suspense account. 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 Remember, I've told you that there is an error of 80,000, which is a debit balance that was recorded in the debit side of an account. But upon investigation, it was realized that it was recorded incorrectly with an undercast of 80,000. Assume the net profit was 170,000. So we are now composing channels to correct the error. So suspense account, there was a debit of 80,000. 80,000, and the same 80,000 was meant to be for rent. So now, this is what we do. We say rent account. Rent account 80,000. So we open rent account. We say rent account. We say suspense